Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives. Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives. Hello there, good morning and welcome to the beginning of a new week. You are on to Morning Dew on Dott television. My name is Henry Uzo, and of course, we will do our normal duty of taking you around events and happenings around the globe. And of course, Success is also in the studio.
Yes, indeed. It's a money-making Monday. Rise and shine. Welcome to Morning Dew on Dott television, where we bring you top stories and headlines making waves across the globe. I am Success Benjamin. Your day just got brightened. And Ife is in the studio as well.
It is a happy and beautiful Monday morning. We're saying good morning to you in a special way. Today is another day. Let us do what we have to do. We definitely will be taking you around topical stories, lots of tidbits, and perhaps a few things that you can nibble on along the way. I am Ife Arono, and this is Morning Dew on Dott TV. This is where to start your day, so let's go along.
Yes, talking about going along, I don't know how I'm going to go along today. You know, our girls, the Super Falcons were knocked out yesterday by Cameroon. And I have this attachment for them. They are Super Falcons because they won that competition 10 times out of 13. This is the 14th one. And they could even get to the semi-final, which would have made them qualify for the World Cup coming next year.
Yeah.
So my name is Mudiaga. I've been moody since yesterday.
I know. I noticed it from the earlier time when I saw you.
Yeah.
The thing with this is, at least the girls can go home knowing that everyone supported them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could tell, even I was somewhere and the man of the house was watching the match, forcing his wife
To watch
too. Come and see your mates.
Your
Come
fellow,
and see what.
your fellow women.
You know, yesterday
What
I
they
was
did.
So the support from the men has
Yeah.
been massive.
Okay.
I was actually moody yesterday. Like, really, I have to call our sports analyst, Uche. I was like, Uche, these girls should win. Oh, the hyping is just too much even before the match begins. I said, the hyping is too much. They should win. And when I saw 1-0 Cameroon, I was like, no, these girls should win.
I thought they were going to come back. And unfortunately, they had to come back. The way they missed it was very foolish. But it's okay. It's a game. You win some,
You
lose some.
lose some.
Well, viewer, we'll come back to continue with news update. And of course, Success is standing by with them. Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives.
Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives.
Welcome to News Update on Morning Dew. We begin with stories on health. As the world continues to highlight the importance of breastfeeding, health experts have stressed its vital role in giving babies a healthy start in life. The message was shared during a program of the Global Health Digest titled Breastfeeding, Giving Babies the Best First Start, held to mark World Breastfeeding Day in Abuja. The Director of Nutrition Department, Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, Mrs. Olufumi Lola Adegbite, described breastfeeding as an essential part of infant nutrition and healthy development. She noted that breast milk provides vital nutrients for babies' growth while helping to support the developing immune system. Mrs. Adegbite also stressed the need for mothers to have access to proper information, guidance, and support to enable them breastfeed successfully. She further called on the families, healthcare workers, and communities to create an enabling environment for breastfeeding mothers.
This is to help them to get adequate nutrients for their body to carry the baby. So they take this and they are being checked, to ensure the child is doing well, they are doing well during the antenatal care. And after the antenatal care, immediately they deliver any initiation of breastfeeding starts within 1 hour, after which exclusive breastfeeding goes for 6 months, continuous breastfeeding plus complementary food such as top wow goes on for 2 years. And we should not forget that during this period, adequate vaccination is also given to the child. So the first 1,000 days is an awesome activity of health. And
the healthcare expert said supporting breastfeeding mothers remain essential to promoting better health and development amongst children. Now, still on health, Delta State says its healthcare investments are helping to reduce medical tourism and the cost of seeking specialized treatment outside the states. The State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Joseph Ono-Jaime, said this at the Delta State Economic and Investment Summit 2026, noting that Governor Sheriff Oboriwari's development of MRI machines to major hospitals in the state will improve access to quality health care. He explained that the machines have been allocated to Asaba Specialist Hospital, Central Hospital Warri, and Delso Teaching Hospital Ogara. Ono-Jaime also said the state has recorded progress in healthcare outcomes, with maternal mortality reportedly dropping from about 120 to below 100 deaths per 100,000 live births. He called for private sector investment in complementary health services to further strengthen care delivery and make Delta a destination for specialized treatments.
That we're exporting to other states and outside the country, worth over 100 billion naira per year. So, but you can note that His Excellency the Governor's investment in high-end medical equipment like the MRI that just started working at Asaba Specialist Hospital, the one at Central Hospital Warri, then the one at Delta State University Teaching Hospital will reduce that medical export we are doing in the state. And this medical equipment cannot be done by the state government alone. The investment in the medical sector cannot be done by the state government alone. We need the private sector to come into other areas that they need to invest in to help improve the key performance index in the state. Like as I'm talking to you, the maternal mortality rate.
The Inspector General of Police, Tunji Disu, says the Osun State Commissioner of Police, Ibrahim Gatim, was asked to step aside following concerns raised by political parties and stakeholders ahead of the August 15 governorship election. Disu said an electoral commissioner of police was subsequently assigned to oversee security operations in the state in a move aimed at restoring confidence in the electoral security arrangements. He added that additional senior police officers, including an assistant inspector general and the deputy commissioner of police, would deploy to Osun. The IGP assured residents that the police has issued specific directives to prevent violence and maintain law and order while working with other security agencies during the election. The August 15 poll will feature incumbent Governor Ademola Adeleke and other major contenders, including the APC candidate Bola Oyebanji. Now on entertainment, veteran Nigerian singer Daddy Shoki has appealed to twin brothers Peter and Paul Okoye of P Square to resolve their lingering differences. Speaking in an interview with Goldmine TV, the singer expressed disappointment over the duo's prolonged dispute, describing P Square as one of Africa's biggest music brands. Daddy Shoki stressed that entertainers owe their success to their fans and should consider their interests when making major decisions. He urged the brothers to put their differences aside, noting that they remain family and should avoid allowing the dispute to affect their children and future generations. The P Square brothers have continued to attract public attention over their long-running disagreements, which have also involved their elder brother and former manager Jude Okoye. Now on sports, Nigerian Super Falcons have been knocked out of the 2026 Women's African Cup of Nations (WAFCON) after a 1-0 quarterfinal defeat to Cameroon on Sunday. The result remains Nigeria have missed out on an automatic ticket to the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup in Brazil, which was reserved for the WAFCON semi-finalists. The defending champions will now have to pursue another qualification route for the World Cup. Now on foreign scene, Trump administration moves to end birth tourism. The White House says the Trump administration has banned what it describes as birth tourism in the United States. Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy and Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller said the new measures prevent foreign nationals from obtaining U.S. visas for the purpose of traveling to the country to give birth and secure U.S. citizenship for their children. Miller described the policy as one of the administration's most significant actions, accusing those involved of abusing the American immigration system. The move is part of President Donald Trump's broader immigration policies, including efforts to restrict birthright citizenship. However, the administration's attempts to end birthright citizenship have faced legal challenges. That ends news updates. Stay with us on Morning Dew as we return with much more insightful discussions after this break. Don't go away.
Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives. Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives.
Yes, welcome back. And of course, we go over to the papers, what they are saying today in terms of their headlines. Starting with the Daily Times, we look at governors shun Supreme Court order. States still control 10.48 trillion naira LG allocations. Former Lagos AG and legal giant Professor A.B. Kasumu San dies at 92. Geregu Power defaults on 40 billion naira bond as cash flow collapses. Share price down 28% YTD. I think that's all we have on Daily Times.
Now moving on to the Daily Sun. What we have NRS, Nigeria's economy out of the woods. 27.1 trillion tax collected in 7 months. And the major headline here says UE rejects observer role. Writes INEC cites insecurity hostile treatment of 2023 team foreign affairs keep mum. Then down here we have the Osun Pools. Osun Guba Lola PDP leader endorsed APC's Oyebanji. Bode George to Onayika, you are Desmond Tutu of Nigeria, says cleric should ignore Wike. Couple, 4-month-old baby, 2 others adopted in Imo. Nigeria's debt is 159.3 trillion as government borrows 14.6 trillion in 1 year. And that's all for the Daily Sun.
Let's now move to this day. There are just a few points there. Above the banner head this morning, we have Economy in Recovery. Tinubu's reforms propel MTN, Dangote, Ebua, Transcorp, Seplat, others H1 revenues to 14.4 trillion naira, 4.99 trillion naira profits. And we have a few riders there. Zakadedeji, fuel subsidy will be costing 53 trillion naira. Exchange rate 3,500 naira per dollar without Tinubu's reforms. Tax collections hit 27.1 trillion naira in 8 months as tax to GDP rises to 13%, says petrol burden would have consumed 76% of 2026 budget. The major headline on this day today is NRS, economy out of the woods after difficult adjustments. These are the major stories on this day.
Now bringing us to Empire newspaper, we have Osun election. Oyilola led PDP faction endorses APC candidates. Now above the masthead, we have Peter Dunia. Chimamanda Adichie emerge leaks 2026 Man, Woman of the Year. Now, the major headline there says 23-year-old Nigerian law school student reportedly jumps to death from 4-story hostel in Lagos. Goodbye notes left behind, police launch investigation. And that's all we could take for Empire newspaper.
On the Daily Trust, we have just one headline there, which says 187,200 naira to, all right, I think that's 1 million. 187 million to 3.25 million. Military's new pay scale. Okay, I think what it's trying to say is that from 187, it has gone to, their wage bill has gone to 3.25 million. That's all we have because it's the editorial that covers that.
Now, moving on to the Nigerian Tribune, we have the major headline there says Nigeria out of woods, economy shows strong growth recovery. NRS boasts 10 blue chip companies posts 14.4 trillion naira revenue, 27.1 trillion naira tax collected in 7 months. Kogi police, army, come forest destroy kidnappers' hideouts along Okene Auchi Road. Nigeria recurring flood up to 9.12 billion US dollars lost, 880 billion naira needed for repairs. And also we have up here, I beg your pardon, on Earth, worsening financial condition accelerates memory loss in older adults. And that's all we could take for the Nigerian Tribune.
Let's now move to the Guardian. And we have this one's on 2027 election, Atiku's camp divided amid calls for reform ahead of campaign season. Still on 2027, INEC extends deadline for submission of governorship candidates list. Adedeji, Nigeria would be paying 53 trillion naira in subsidy without reforms. That's still trending. And then we have insecurity, low ROI, return on investment, drag 18 states from digital access and connectivity. Rights groups allege 6,000 Igbo families in agony over missing loved ones. Aviation unions issue airlines' final 3-day strike notice. NCC to sanction telecom operators for poor quality of service and experience. Zulum hosts Sahel countries, seeks unified strategy against terrorism in Chad Basin. And that's it for The Guardian.
Now let's see what we have on the Punch. Presidency Atiku in fresh war of words over killings. Ex-VP fought Tinubu on security. President rallies clerics against insurgency. And that's all we could take for the Punch.
Over now to Vanguard, and of course a flurry of headlines there. Top left corner, you have Nigeria's economy recovering after painful reforms, NRS says. And of course, NDC crisis. Edo aggrieved members reject autonomy, the Ladima panel. Companies behind Nigeria's stock market, 58.9 trillion naira boom. All right, now we have only 6 banks pay 1.27 trillion naira dividend despite huge profits. And then we have, it's a conservative capital management strategy. CIS boss says, CBN stopped the dividends. I don't read. It was the regulatory pushback. Alainka, why CBN stopped some banks? Kurfi, outlook for banking industry remains constructive. Ahimia, all that in the as riders on the issue of dividends. Then APC completes upload of all candidates ahead of deadline. Then NLC demands power sector shake up. Oshu Oyolola leads PDP faction to endorse Oyebanji. Nigeria spent 3.1 trillion naira on domestic debt servicing in the first quarter, DMO says. And then we have JAM clears 5,000 complaints in 5 days. That's all we have in Vanguard.
Now moving on to New Telegraph. Down here we have Tinubu rallies religious leaders against terrorism, banditry, misuse of faith. Then here we have why misconduct persists on the bench by lawyers. Middle East crisis. Netanyahu rejects Trump 15 points plan for Gaza. Oyinola, other PDP leaders, endorses APC's Oyebanji in Osun. Then here the topical story, we have why police, NSCDC, others also deserve salary increase by experts. No justification for improved welfare for one out of many security institutions. Exclusion can create distortions within country security architecture. That's Rwanda. And then the top up here we have NBF deposit surged 74% to 3.85 trillion naira amid tech development. And that's all for New Telegraph.
And on Daily Independent, we have these headlines. Federal government leverages $4.5 billion facility to anchor fiscal reforms. Above the banner head, Geregu Power's revenue squeeze escalates to bond obligation default. On 2027, Serap asks Tinubu, Obi, Atiku, others to publish their assets. We also have First Holdco clears major ownership overhang after 1.15 trillion naira stake sale. APC completes upload of all candidates ahead of deadline. 5,091 killed in 3 months, damning indictment over Tinubu's government. That's coming from the Atiku camp. Military airstrikes wound ISWAP commander, kill 4 tourists in Lake Chad. Still on 2027 election, a Accord party denies endorsing Tinubu. Adeleke Toye-Tola, Osun residents will reject any attempt to rig polls. And that's it on newspaper headlines. Those are the headlines across national dailies today. When we come back, after the break, we'll have an analyst joining us to shed light on some of the topics that we find needful to highlight. Stay with us. This is still Morning Dew on Dott TV.
Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives. Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives.
In the heart of Asaba, where the street tells the stories every single day.
From the corridors of powers to the decisions shaping governance and politics in Delta and Nigeria.
From traders counting every naira to families battling rising costs and uncertain times.
From football pitches to sporting successes to the major developments making the headlines all over the world.
And from the untold human stories, the struggles, victories, resilience, and hope of the everyday Nigerians.
This is the news beyond the headlines. Dot TV News are your trusted window to stories that truly matter to the people. Here, we don't just report events, we tell the human stories behind them.
Welcome back. And of course, we read out the headlines for you. There are a few issues that we would like to, subject to analysis. And thankfully, we have in the studio Dr. Ambrose Boke, all the way from Enugu, joining us live. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you. Good to be here after all the online and Zoom stuff.
Yes.
Nice to meet you in
You're
the
looking
studio.
good. Nigeria is not happening to you. As people say.
Well, we have learned to adapt in the midst of all the economic cruelty.
All right.
We are survivors.
Adaptation is the word. So it's good to adapt.
How was your trip from Enugu to Asaba?
The roads are, because of the tax to credit scheme from Enugu to Onitsha is being constructed by multinational. And so that has made that place smoothen. So the journey, that Enugu-Onitsha Expressway has now, almost fully done.
Back to life.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fully
All
done.
right, welcome back. We're glad to have you. All right, where do we start from? Let's start from here. We read out that state governments are still controlling a large chunk of the resources of local government, the allocation, in spite of court order. How does that define us and our politics?
Well, court orders in Nigeria are subject to cherry picking by the executive. So it's anyone that the executive likes that they implement, anyone that they support, or anyone that enhances whatever they are doing. If the executive arm of government refuses to support, abide by any court's decision, there are no consequences. It has been tested over many years that the executive cherry pick on what they want to, obey. And once that happens, and that is what you get. So, court has given the order. Unfortunately, also in our constitution, it is the executive that enforces court orders. So through the police and through other agencies of security. So if the executive does not give the order to enforcement, court orders are not enforced. And so if it affects them directly, they don't give the order in most of the cases. So, and that is why it just stays there. The judges would have done their job by giving a judgment and to tell the states to act on that judgment. But if the state, through the apparatus of the executive, refuses to act, then what does the judge do? You can only come back after a while for you who have won the judgment and say, okay, you enter a case of contempt of court and say, they didn't obey. And then the judge can summon. And if he summons somebody refuses to come, it's still the executive that way, Then in case of governors, you can't even summon them because they have immunity. So when they disobey this kind of what so it only goes, maybe we can go back to what the style of Obasanjo used, going to court to freeze the order. And the person that will go to freeze the account, for example, and the person to do that is also the agency to do that is the federal government. So in the federal government, there's an executive order and to follow the constitution, and some state governors are not following it. It behoves on the federal government to now go tell the courts, well, if you're not complying substantially to this, and this has to do with finance, then maybe they have to freeze their accounts until they'll be able to comply or whatever. But in this year of election, I don't think anybody wants to rock the boat. So I think they'll just allow it fly for now because the presidency needs all the support of the governors. And so it's, it's a delicate balancing between politicking
and... you see, what I don't understand, because now the impression we have is that when they go to Abuja for allocation sharing, local governments are giving their own. State governments are giving their own. At what point do they start to control that of local government? The states now.
There was this thing called joint accounts between the states, and we heard that some of the state governors are still operating that account. Some of them have not really opened an account for the local governments in many states.
Is it the state that should open for them?
Yes, of course. There's a way this thing is tied, actually. So the instrument of receiving the money, there was a process before where the money was paid. And that process requires unbundling by the state government to ensure that the federal, the state government, local government now have their own account. Most of them have not complied with that. Only a few states have actually authorized, done that, in accordance with, but many of them have not, have refused to do that. And in some cases, those who have even opened an account for their local government, we hear that it's just formal or just officialdom.
Okay.
That some of them also have a way of ensuring that the local government chairman remits the money back to the state. And that is why the state governors do all they can to ensure that it's the candidates that they pick. And that local government chairmanship is mostly by selection and not by election.
Not by election.
So that they can obey. And because if you give them, according to their own perspective, if you give them the autonomy of having won through the ballots, then they will have a certain level of independence. And they can tell you no when you tell them some of those things. In some states, for example, Enugu State, I know that the governor, what he did was, okay, he didn't tamper with their money, but they now had, okay, you have so much money with you now. We have to do a kind of sharing formula in some projects, okay? Fund this XY percentage, we will fund this.
Which makes some sense.
So some states are also bringing some innovation to this. So, but where some members of the state governors, they don't even want to let go. And so they just hold on to that. And that is still what is happening. That is why the news keep on reoccurring almost after 2 years or 3 years of that executive order.
Is it just about the money? Are the governors interested in just getting some fund from their local government allocations? Or is there something else that is making governors, what else do they want from the local? Why are they laying hold this much to the local governments? Is it just about money?
The money is much. That's why they're holding much. The money is much now.
Yeah. Okay, is it also about political control?
The money is huge. And when you hear who controls the money, controls almost everything. Because some local governments are getting as much as 1 billion monthly. Some are getting 400 million, 300 million, 500 million. Some are giving over 1 billion.
Yeah.
So when you aggregate that, you know the kind of money. Let's say you have 23 local government, 20 local government, and they are giving an average of maybe 600 million. Imagine what that's giving you, maybe almost 15 billion every year.
If you compare this amount with projects, because we have many of our rural feeder roads that are not even graded. Now, if you talk about 1 billion in 1 month and a local government chairman that wants to work, is that money too much?
Well, the issue is that the money, nobody's saying it's too much because it's already coming to them.
Okay.
It's the allocation we are talking about. We are not even talking about what ought to. It's what they get already. But the issue is that some governors don't allow that to stay. They want to control it. So some governors just take it, and what they do is some who are very, very mean even pay the local government salary directly. Some will just tell you, okay, give us your budget head, maybe the correct expenditure, salaries and all those things. They give you that and collect the rest. I know a governor who told the local government chairman to all these executive assistants you are having on the rest. No, it's only the local government employees directly that they are releasing the money for. Because the local government chairmen are basically handpicked by these governors. They are yes men. Okay, so they just agree to anything the government. Otherwise, that the feeder road you mentioned, if the money was coming directly and it was being monitored, I think the work of the governors is to ensure that the monies are being used judiciously, not to collect it. So, for example, the feeder roads, and just like what I mentioned, the Enugu State governor is doing. Okay, these XY feeder roads, can we put it in this year's in the 2027 budget, for example, and let's do this XYZ road to some level of standard, and it will cost, let's say, 3 billion to fix maybe 10 roads. Therefore, and then in a year you are getting like maybe 10 billion.
Okay.
So use the 3 billion to do roads only, for example, healthcare. All these type 1, type 2 hospital, primary healthcare centers, hospitals, and all those. So these things, I think it will work better. That the governors holding on, because the way the local government money is being increased monthly, the allocation of the states also have increased tremendously. But the problem with Nigeria is that I was in an argument in a WhatsApp group of intellectuals recently where they showed a video of the NGX CEO reeling out figures to the president and say, oh, Nigeria has produced a certain number of millionaires from 2023 to now. So it's about 240 trillion in capitalization. I say those are just numbers. They don't have value. So I said the man is not telling the president the truth. He's just being a vuvuzela. I mean, it's just sounding praise. Because if you, I don't make some comparison. In 2019, it was $1 to 360 naira. in the banking rate. As of 2021, 2023, it was like, by the time we are going to 2023, it was 500 and something.
Yes.
Okay, to $1. Now, 2019, just 7 years ago. And then $1. Now, $1 is 1,400.
Yeah.
So when you hold $1,000 naira, then you're holding 360,000. I mean, if you hold $1,000, then
Yes.
you're holding 360,000 naira.
Yes.
If you hold $1,000 now, you're holding 1.4 million naira. So that's like 700. So your one money is worthless 700
by
times.
the day, yeah.
You know, so what we are not saying, if you give me, I used to tell people that those days that a Camry 2.4 as of 2019 was 1.6 million.
Yes.
What we call Belgium Tokumbo
Yes.
that you bring in. Now Tokumbo is 13 million.
Yeah.
Yes, of the same vehicle. So if you give me 13 million, you say I give me much money. Meanwhile, 1.6 million is the equivalent just from a few years ago. So if you say there's a capital trade, something is. It is not true.
All right.
Okay,
so much on that. Let's go to other area. We just have a report that national debt, our debt as a nation has increased to over 1.5 trillion naira. This owing and this continual borrowing.
Thank God. I was afraid. Wanted to say $1 trillion. I was
No.
I was ready to.
And there was
even though we pay
headline.
back, even though we pay back in dollars.
There
but
was this
that's the
headline
equivalent,
that
yes.
pointed out that we borrowed, I think, 14 point something, was it trillion in 1 year?
Yeah.
Just 1 year.
Yeah. So
Sometimes when you mention these things in dollars, in naira, it doesn't really show the real, value.
Okay.
I think we will need to convert it to dollar to know how much we're actually owing. Because the trillion, our money is being, when the president entered in 2023, I think our money was significantly devalued.
Yes.
Following the IMF prescription, which is an evil if you want to follow it. Because one of the things that killed our economy was following the IMF prescription in 1985-86 through the Structural Adjustment Program, SAP, that Babangida brought in. And that closed almost all our industries. We are not doing the right thing because, for example, you remove subsidy on fuel, petroleum, and all those things. Meanwhile, in Europe, that are telling you to remove subsidy, they're subsidizing everybody. They're subsidizing everything, subsidizing the farmers. They are doing America and what is their name? And China are doing serious competition, subsidizing their manufacturers, their farmers to push their goods into international markets.
Even transportation.
Heavy subsidization. Even I used to joke that I used to tell my American friends that you guys subsidize laziness. That if you are 18 years old and you're not working, they pay you. But I'm joking with them, but that is what ought to be. Social security. You own your citizens' right to work, and if you cannot provide that, you give them subsidy. A single mother in America, in fact, some people are now professional baby mamas in America. Because once you have baby, and it's an American citizen, the American government pays you to take care of that citizen. And that's why some of them are having 3 or 4 children also, because that is a government that tells you to remove your own subsidy that is your own fault. First of all, we are supposed to have our own fuel being refined locally. We are not doing that. Therefore, government said, because we are not doing that, we are going to pay subsidy to cushion the effects of why we are importing refined products.
Yes.
Then they tell you to come and stop it. And you stopped it. You stopped tariff, electricity subsidy. You stopped every subsidy. You don't subsidize farmers, nothing. You floated the naira and all those things. Buhari was under pressure to float the naira. He refused. So these are the things that we are having issues with. And then when you say trillion loans, one of the things this current president is doing is battling a backlog of overprinting, of minting of the naira through ways and means. Ways and means, there's always a cap on it. But the last government before him, 28 trillion naira. And that is part of the thing that devalued the naira, because it was so high. We are printing beyond. So it's not about minting money.
It's about value.
It's about the value. And so that is what we are still suffering. So the debt, of course, will skyrocket because we are not a producing nation. We import everything. Therefore, when you award contracts for building roads, they are imported. The materials for building that are imported. And you are buying against the dollar. And your naira has fallen. So your debt in naira will even increase more. Because the value of the naira that, let's say, 5 years ago they were using, is no more the value. So what 100 billion naira can solve in 2023 before May 29, 1 trillion naira cannot solve it now.
So if government says is doing
reforms.
What
We are
is reform
hearing
all
it
about
across,
when the naira is
across the national
devaluing
dailies
and
today.
then we're not producing
We're told that the
everything is
reforms
against
are
the dollar?
working.
What is the economic reform?
Yeah, so you know when Nigeria Bureau of Statistics, the DMOs, the Debt Management Office, the CBN, or the Finance Ministry blow up these figures. These are econometrics. They just use charts, and all those things, statistics and indicators, and they're telling me that inflation is 39% or 33%. I said, wait a minute. These things are figures, are academic figures. They are not economic figures in the real term of it. Because somebody will say, oh, they made money in the stock market. I say, how much did you make? I say, okay, let's check how much you make and gauge it against the dollar exchange. Because your value is competing internationally with the dollar. So if you say that stock market has 1 trillion profit now, 1 trillion naira profits in 2025, and I ask you how much the profit they make in 2024 and in 2022.
Yes.
It may be small, it may be like up to like maybe 500 billion or 300, but the value is far more than what you're talking about. So what we are talking about, the reforms they are doing, is only working in their textbooks.
Okay.
It's only working in their reports. It's not affecting the life. Look, earlier this year, I heard that Barack Obama was trying, Donald Trump was trying to argue with some reporters that things are going to get better. They were talking about inflation. You know how he was describing inflation? How he said the inflation is down. He said the price of grocery in the shops will drop.
Okay.
The price of pharmaceutical will drop. He was mentioning goods that will drop. This is a true economics. Not when you sit down in your fancy office and wear suit and tie and you're giving me figures. Now I'm buying petrol that I bought 165 naira or 200 naira before you came in.
Yes.
And now I'm buying it for 1,400. That is like 600%, 700% increase. And you tell me your reforms are working. I am buying a bag of rice. Before you came in, a bag of rice was 15,000 naira or so. It has gone to 80,000, 85. Then it came back to like 60 something, and you are celebrating it. Then you are telling me that naira that was exchanging like 360, 410, 5 something is you took it to 18 and it's back to like this, and you are clapping. So I think we are not fooled by these things. It's clear that the monies you spend on the market to buy goods, to buy food, to buy medication, to buy little drugs. People who are, for example, diabetic patients who used to buy diabetamine and all those small drugs. If you see the cost, a lot of people who are asthmatic who used to buy inhalers for 1,000 naira, 800 naira. They are now buying it for 7,000, 4,000, 5,000. No, these are the measures you use to measure whether there's impact. So when I'm buying fuel at 600, 700% more than I used to buy it, and you tell me that inflation is 33%, I will tell you it is no. You are not being truthful. You are just really not figures. So it's the figures I do not agree. And that myself, I'm not talking as a layman, I'm a scholar. And I know how these metrics have been drawn. It is not true. These are academic. These are for journals. And maybe some of their textbooks that they write.
And also
it is not real economics. It's not real economics.
Okay, so much on reforms, and we hope these are seen in the lives of both the ordinary citizens. Now, the UE has, come to say, the EU, has rejected observers' role in the 2027 elections. What is this trying to say, regarding to the elections?
Well, for the role, I didn't get that.
They said they don't want to monitor.
I don't blame them. I don't blame them because they're all the ones that have monitored in the past. Their recommendations were never taken.
Okay.
It's just like they're wasting their time. Okay, so they were here in 1999. They were here in 2003, 2007, 2011, 2015, 2019, 2023. All the observations, nothing. Look at what is happening in Osun.
What is the aim of monitoring? What are they monitoring?
The monitoring is to make sure that it's compliance.
Okay.
That there is free and fair election, that there's compliance, and whatever they see, they may now bring it to the Nigerian government or to the Electoral Commission and say, okay, you need to improve in this area. You need to do this to strengthen the next election, to make sure the next election is better. But the elections keep getting worse. So it's just like pouring water in an open basket. So I think they are tired because it has turned to a show of shenanigans. You just come, you do photo ops, you go. You come back.
You
nothing
give
changes.
a press
Look at
briefing.
the Oshun, what is happening in Oshun. In fact, it's taking us even back so many years. So if you're a serious person, you won't keep coming, and then wasting your time because it's a waste of time.
Resources.
And what's the implication of this abdication of the EU from this important election to Nigerians and to Africa and the world?
Well, I don't think it's an abdication of duty. I mean, they are just doing you a favor by coming. So it's your duty to fix your country. It's not their duty. It's your duty to do the right thing. It's your duty as a country. They're just coming to say, okay, for the sake of monitoring human rights, issues of human rights compliance, for issue of making sure that the electoral process is being reinforced. I think they're becoming tired of Africa, basically, because look at what happened in Uganda the other day, So these things keep coming, and at this point, the implication is that if EU is backing out, then there will be a penchant for committing more atrocities in our elections, because maybe we don't have anybody to fear anymore, or anybody to caution ourselves against and the rest. But again, the other bodies do that. Maybe they're also monitoring. But again, the monitoring thing, as I said, has just turned to a show.
Now, sometimes it's suggested that these people, they don't just come to make our elections free and fair or ensure that we follow patterns. They also come to ensure that the person they want becomes our president. That is an extension of their control on our politics. What do you have to say to that?
For the person, there's no doubt that our past colonial masters and some European powers, or let me not use only Europe, let me use Western power, are always, interested and influences in what's happening in African politics. It's not only in Nigeria. So they want to control it because of the resources there. So they're always interested in our natural resources, taking it over to themselves, refining it, producing it, and selling it back to us. Ability to help some African leaders launder their money in European banks like Switzerland. Ability also to hold some African leaders to blackmail them. We have seen that so many times in the past. And the ones that have refused to be blackmailed, you saw the way they were assassinated. People like Patrice Mulumba, people like Ese Lassia, people like Murtala Mohammed, Captain Thomas Sankara, and a couple of them, the way they were just so we have seen a lot of that. So before they come for the election, they already decided who will be. So it's not actually them coming to monitor the elections. Decide that you can see what happened in 2023 election. Everybody was going to Chatham House to go and talk. So I was laughing. I said, okay, everybody has gone to mark register with the headmaster. So that is the kind of behavior we do. So most of the time they already know, or they already selected or influenced who is to be there. And then especially for very, very important countries, in Africa, like Nigeria, like Ghana, like Cameroon, South Africa, some of these countries, even now they have, because of the Arab Spring, they'll be able to penetrate the North Africa, like Egypt and then some other countries, and Libya. So this thing is real. So whether we want to accept it or not,
it's all right. I think we're going to end it there for paper review this morning. Thank you, Dr. Ambrose, for coming to our studio this morning. We are very glad to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Such a
All
pleasure.
right, viewer, just keep watching. We'll be back with another program for you.
Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives.
You're still watching Morning Dew on Dott Television. We're moving over to sports because Anthony Uche is already in the studio.
Good morning.
How was your weekend and how did your week start?
I would say a depressed Anthony.
Rather disappointing. But the weekend ended
Well.
in good fashion,
Okay.
judging that Sunday is the start of a new one. But this new one hasn't really started off on the best note possible. If you are a sports fan or even a football fan in Nigeria, then you understand what I'm talking about, because
Our girls dealt with our emotions.
exactly, and they got dealt with themselves by Cameroon, and it was perhaps, it's funny that I will say what I'm about to say, but it was perhaps their best game of the tournament so far.
Okay.
And that was the one that they got eliminated in, because they had a lot of attacking verve to the team, considered very early in the game, and through a free kick that you could point a few fingers at the keeper for, because it was basically a straight free kick. The ball just went straight into the net, and that was as a result of bad wall positioning, in my opinion, because it's marks of what we saw in 2019. A lot of us, it still gives me nightmares, but I remember 2019, the AFCON, where Riyad Mahrez, that free kick Riyad Mahrez scored for Algeria against Nigeria, against Daniel Akpeyi, when you could just obviously see the wall was badly positioned. And I think that was what happened yesterday. And the Cameroonians scored early, and my goodness me, their defense and their goalkeeper, especially Mikel, absolutely, stood their ground against a very, like I said, Nigerians attacked. And like I said, it was perhaps the best attacking game of the tournament. And they couldn't score a goal in it because of how good the Cameroonians were. And that also puts our World Cup qualification in jeopardy, because then qualifying for the semi-finals could have meant an automatic slot to 2027 in Brazil. But that is no longer going to be the case. But it's not the end of the road yet, because by Thursday, the 13th of this month, the Super Falcons will now go up against South Africa, the Banyana of South Africa, in a playoff to qualify for the Intercontinental playoff. So it's a playoff for the playoffs, basically. So whoever wins that game will qualify to play in the Intercontinental World Cup qualification process. So they are basically 3 games away from playing to the World Cup. But like I said, it's not as straightforward as you want to be. And for us who know what it means to bring out calculators and do permutations last minute, it doesn't really go well for us a lot of the time.
It's not good.
And for the Super Falcons, who come into this 10-time champions, by far the best team in Africa, and this is how the tournament defense, the title defense has ended at the quarterfinal stage. It does not spell good tidings for the Super Falcons and for Nigeria football. And if you look at it across the board as well, the under 17, no World Cup. The under 20, no World Cup. The Super Eagles, no World Cup. And potentially the Super Falcons as well, no World Cup. Like I said, it doesn't really smell nice. It doesn't smell nice.
Football in Nigeria generally.
Football generally in Nigeria.
But then, if we are truthful to ourselves, the girls didn't show up this time. I didn't see their game.
Yeah, when you do an overall look at the
overall assessment of them, because it's still the same people. Now, when they take shots on goal, they blow it over the bar, and I don't understand. Their keeping of the ball was not as usual, so they didn't turn up.
A few things have changed from 2 years ago.
Even our goalkeeper is a little heavy.
Yes, she's a bit
not smart.
But you know what scratches my head mostly? So when you say it was the team from 2 years ago, some of them, especially the goalkeeper, as recently as last month, she was helping Brighton and Hove Albion women beat Liverpool to qualify for an FA Cup final. You understand? So it's not like we are bringing somebody who performed well the last time in 2 years ago and then bringing them. So even until recently, these players are good players. They play well for their clubs. Asisa Toshala plays for Al Hilal ladies in the Saudi Arabian League, and a lot of them play for, Christy Uchibe plays for Benfica, and a lot of them, then a few of them as well, like Michelle Allos, they play in what perhaps is the best women's league in the world, which is the NWSL in the United States of America. So these players on an individual level, they are really good players.
Is it about the team itself, maybe lack of team spirit, or is it about the management, or
I don't think it's a thing of lack of team spirit, because these ladies have been together, like you said. This is their second tournament in a row. Only a change was made. That was Ashley Plumter, the defender, who didn't join up with this team. That was the only exclusion from the last, AFCON tournament that they went to. So the team should have gelled. You've been here for 2 years, played 2 tournaments together. So I don't think it's as a lack of team spirit or team bonding. I just think what happens.
They didn't come to
Yes,
the
what
party.
happens when you win and you become very successful and
Complacent.
yes,
Oh,
that
okay,
complacency and
complacency.
relaxing.
Okay.
And when you look at them, they will not admit they are complacent. It takes somebody from the outside to tell you that you guys are relaxing too much. When you look at them, they probably think everything is all right. Everything is as it is. And being a Real Madrid fan myself, I know a thing or two about getting complacent after winning trophies in succession. Yes, when you get too successful, sometimes it takes an outside eye to look at it. That's why you see some teams sometimes. A team will finish a season, win a trophy, like Liverpool we saw with Arne Slot, they will still get rid of the coach.
Oh,
Because when
yes.
you're looking from at the outside, this is somebody who is successful. This is a team that is successful, but they're not looking as verve or as vicious as they used to look. But within the team, we just won. You still think you always have it.
Like
but,
the chance they had towards the end of the game.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Why couldn't
to square it for assist
square that ball for assist?
I mean, it's just like I said, it's just a few of those things that happen. Well, like I said, all the focus now should shift to the World Cup. We'll lament and complain about this later. They should just focus on South Africa on Thursday, and then after South Africa, changes that need to be made has to be made. Because, like I said, it's not the end of the road yet. It's just not what you think is an ideal situation. But like I said, it's not the end of the road. So they have to focus on the task at hand. And when that task is finished, if it's a managerial change, if it's dropping a few players, that will come later down the line. Don't mess everything up now by trying to shift the whole team. And then, of course, like I said, to complete the agony or the anguish of Nigerians yesterday, the under-20 as well, the Flying Eagles got thumped by 4-1 by Burkina Faso in the final of the Wafu B tournament as well, which also now means that they will not play at the AFCON under-20 tournament next year, 2027, because if they had won the final, then they would have gone on to play. But like I said, they got thumped by 4 goals. In fact, they were 3 goals down. They were 3-0 down inside 15 minutes.
Yes.
That's how quickly. And when you think about it, this Burkina Faso team as well beat us in the last group game. That was less than a week ago.
Yes.
They beat us in the last group game by 2-0. But then we had already qualified for the semi-finals, regardless of what the result was. So a lot of people were like, they beat us, but no problem. I always felt that mental edge you gave them of having beaten you 2 weeks ago, it's not a long time. So it's still fresh in the memory, and that is some sort of morale booster. And he played out like that. Abdul Maikaba and his team, just like I said, 3-0 down inside the first 15 minutes. It just shows you something that Burkina Faso, they knew what they had to do.
Yeah.
A lot of us felt
they were hungry for it.
And then they were motivated more by looking at an opposition who they had just beaten less than 2 weeks ago. So, and well, like I said, it was quite an embarrassing and disappointing. And yet another tournament that a Nigerian team is going to miss out on, which is the under-20 AFCON
looking
next
at
year.
Nigerian football in general, is there something that needs to be, worked on, maybe adjust, change, coaches, and so on?
It's as clear as daylight, honestly. The glass house, the tinted glasses of the glass house really should be untinted so we can see what's going on in there, because not a lot is actually going on in there. A lot of people occupying positions that did not merit by antecedents. They get the positions via a political process. It doesn't work that way.
Football does not go with
the Cameroon that defeated us. The Cameroonian ladies are not really powerhouses in Africa. Yes, one WAFCON title, but they're not really powerhouses, at least compared to their male counterparts, the Indomitable Lions. Guess who is their FA president? Samuel Eto'o. One of the best footballers ever to have come out of Africa. And then you look across we talked about Egypt and the good run they had at the World Cup. Their coach was a former Egyptian player.
That's right.
So when you look across board in Nigeria, the wrong people are in the wrong positions. People who do not know really what it takes to play.
Administration.
Yes, so you get people who get politically appointed for offices that should be only for qualified past athletes or people who get in there. And I get it. Some people will have the argument that, of course, when the chance was given to some other ex-footballers or ex-internationals, they didn't really do well at it. They'll bring up the cases of Austin Eguavoen and the national team.
No, but there's still interference from the administration.
That's one. To perform. That's one. The second one is you don't give people an opportunity, and after 6 months you get rid of them.
Yes.
This change that we're looking for, we talked here, extensively about Spain after they had won the World Cup.
Yes.
And I told you about how the coach went from the under-19 teams to the under-21 to the under-23, won the Olympics with the Olympics team, then got the job full-time as a senior national team coach. If he was fired after 6 weeks of taking care of the under-17 team, he wouldn't get where he was. So we don't have enough patience to build something that will last in 10 years. Everybody gets into office and they know they have an 8-year tenure. They try to embezzle as much as they can within that timeline. they don't really care about further down the line about, and I was talking about, the Nigerian Football League as well with my friends. And I was like, they said they signed a 3-year deal with a sponsor. If I was the board, I'd rather stay alone without any sponsor than sign a 3-year deal with you or sign a 1-year deal with you. It does not guarantee succession. It does not guarantee a long-term plan. That means somebody is just coming to see if you are viable for 3 years. If you're not viable, they will pull out. It doesn't guarantee. Go and take a look at the Premier League. They sign deals with people for 7 years, 8 years, 10 years, so that you know that within that period, if you are bad, it will be obvious. It will be evident that you are bad. If you are good,
there'll be room to make amends.
Yes, exactly. So I think, like you said, success. Yes, there's a lot of change that has to happen, not on the playing side, but on the administrative side of Nigerian football, because then that is where it trickles down to the playing. Because if the people who should make the decisions of appointing a new manager know what they are doing, then the wrong managers would most likely not be appointed. Because then somebody at the top has seen what a good manager looks like, played under a good manager at some point in their career, so they have an inside idea of what a good manager should look like before they get the job. So there's a lot of changes that had to happen. But talking about managers as well, I'll round off with the story of Jose Mourinho. He has a documentary that came out on Netflix, and one of the biggest revelations so far in that documentary is that he had agreed with Manchester United in 2013 to replace Sir Alex Ferguson. Immediately he had left. You remember, a lot of United fans remember 2013, after 26 years at the club, Sir Alex Ferguson decided to step aside, and he was replaced ultimately by his fellow Scotsman, David Moyes, and a lot of things went downhill for United. In fact, I don't even think they've recovered from the absence from the departure of Sir Alex Ferguson till this day, because they've been really inconsistent, up and down.
I'm sure it was Ferguson that suggested David Moyes.
Yes, he did, but
all the time they played, it was Everton that was giving Man U problems.
And he was hugely successful at Everton at the time, David Moyes. So, but Mourinho and then Sir Alex featured also on the documentary, and he said he said they had agreed, really, basically signed the contract for him to become the next United coach. But one evening, Mourinho called him crying, saying, "I gave my word to Chelsea, and I cannot go back on that word." So that was why he ended up going back to Chelsea when he left Real Madrid, instead of following through on that agreement to become the next Man U manager. And a lot of people will look at that as a sliding doors moment, because I don't think they really would have been as bad as they were if somebody as powerful as Mourinho went in immediately after somebody as powerful as Alex did. So, and then we saw when he had eventually joined United around the 2016-2018 season, perhaps a lot of people would think it was 3 years too late.
Okay, so that's all you have today.
Yes.
Thank you, Anthony Uche, for always bringing us up to speed with what is happening in the sports arena. Well, Nigerians, let's pray this time, because whenever Nigerians play, we pray that God becomes number 12 on the pitch. Thursday, we'll see whether the girls will qualify us for the Female World Cup coming up in Brazil.
Yes.
Thank you, Tony, for coming. Viewers, stay with us. We'll be back with other matters to chew. Thank you.
Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives.
Yes, welcome back. And from sports, we move over to business. And Luisa Asidi is already in the studio. You're looking very radiant.
Oh, thank
Hello,
A good way to
business
begin the
lady.
week.
Good to see you,
we draw strength from you.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
You know,
I
when,
pass
when,
on the
when
strength.
you hear businesswoman, that means there's money in your pocket.
Yeah, because this
So-
is money
Yes,
making.
So behind the camera, we'll discuss.
Oh, no problem.
Luisa, you're welcome.
Welcome. So what do you
Thank
have
you.
for us this morning?
Yeah.
I have a lot. Let's start first of all with NNPC.
Okay.
The National Economic Council has approved a new $4.5 billion oil-backed loan for NNPC Limited. Back in 2023, NNPC took out a $3.3 billion loan secured against future crude oil sales. The deal was called Project Gazelle. This new arrangement, Project Gazelle 2, pays off that old loan and replaces it with a bigger one on better terms. So why do it? 2 reasons. First, it frees up extra cash, around $3 billion in fresh liquidity. And second, the government says that money will help shore up our foreign reserves, support the Naira, and fund infrastructure projects. Now, borrowing against tomorrow's oil is always a balancing act. It brings in dollars today, but it also means some of our future crude is already spoken for. So the thing to watch is what that extra liquidity actually delivers. If reserves strengthen and the Naira steadies, you will feel it in the price of anything imported, which, let's be honest, is most things. Now to a Nigerian success story. Move, the mobility company founded by 2 Nigerians, Ladi Dalono and Jide Odunsi, has raised $250 million that values the company at over $2 billion. Now, remember where this started, financing cars for ride-hailing drivers right here in Lagos back in 2020. Today, Move runs about 42,000 vehicles across 29 cities in 13 countries. Now, here's the interesting part. They are now deep in the driverless car business. Move manages self-driving fleets for Waymo, Google's autonomous vehicle company in American cities like Phoenix and Miami. London is next on the list. The new money comes from serious global names. Abu Dhabi's Mabadala led the round alongside Toyota's investment fund. So why does this matter for us? It shows the world that Nigerian founders can build companies that compete anywhere, not just at home, but at the frontier of global technology. A business born solving a Lagos problem is now helping run driverless taxis in America. That's quite the journey, and it won't be the last. And finally, this morning, let's talk about what's happening offshore. Nigeria's oil regulator says 22 major offshore projects are on the way between now and 2030. This investment could earn between $30 and $50 billion. The regulator, the Upstream Commission, NUPRC, says over $57 billion worth of field development plans have already been approved, and some of those have moved to final investment decisions. Now, here's why that matters this morning. More offshore production means more crude, more dollars coming in, and thousands of jobs, from engineers to caterers to logistics companies serving those platforms. It is also a vote of confidence, because even with the world talking about energy transition, big investors are still betting on Nigerian oil and gas. The next milestone is this year's licensing round, and officials are sounding confident that it will draw even stronger interests.
Interesting.
Well, your package today is so technical.
Yeah, it is.
We don't know where to come in.
No, I do actually, because talking of Nigerian crude,
Okay.
we're told that ours is the best, that investors
Yes.
are
No,
still
definitely.
betting
Definitely.
on it. So
Bonnie-
talk to
Bonnie
us
Light.
about what this holds, about this offshore oil projects that they are talking about, and how that can impact not just the economy, but our homes.
Okay, now, like you've said, the crude oil in Nigeria, we have one of the best.
Yes.
Now, imagine those foreign investors coming in to work with our crude oil. What does that mean for us in Nigeria? More jobs.
Like having their base.
Yes.
And Forex as well.
Yes, more jobs, the economy will be boosted up, it will grow. And then you as a normal person, you see the prices of things going down. And every price will go down. And, inflation will also drop. Everything will drop, and the life of Nigerians will remain easier.
Well, let's look at it this way, because I remember Shell Petroleum Development Company that time. There was one time they launched. I think that was about 1990 something. They launched this offshore, prospecting, and then said that one Nigerian man was to be the chairman or the MD. Sorry. Now that's that time. Now the same Shell wound up and packed the loot out of even Delta State and Nigeria. So I don't know, more coming. Everybody is serving their own interest as far as I'm concerned. Like you said, the only thing I see, the only thin line that makes us happy is that when they come, they are going to